doing. We appreciate it. Anyone else? All right. So one of the biggest jobs of a board, if you're listening online, is about approving a budget. And tonight on March the 3rd is that is exactly what we're looking at going ahead and doing. I'm going to read out the recommendation, and then we are going to give opportunities for trustees to, before we vote, to make a comment certainly on the budget. So our budget approval talks, the recommendation is as follows. Be it resolved that the board give final approval to the 2026-2027 operating budget totaling $92,622,295 in operating expenditures and transfers to the capital excluding adult ed centers. And be it further resolved that the board approve the special requirement for the 2026-2027 fiscal year be set at $57,818,554, resulting in the special levy for 2025 for all municipals being set at $53,512,744. So I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Smith, seconded by Trustee Boytson. So before we go around the room, just so that the public can understand that, and this is not something that Paul dreamed up, this is something that Senior Admin has given to us with regard to some information. A reminder, so that for the public, is the summary of our budget and tax changes. Our operating budget is increasing by 3.6% or $3.2 million. An impact on a home assessed at $500,000 is approximately a $94 increase in school taxes. The provincial funding, an increase, we received 1.5%, approximately $500,000. And our mill rate and taxation increase is 7.2%. Why the budget is increasing? Well, key contributors to the budget are all of our contractual obligations, our rising insurance and utility costs, our increase to leases, consumables, and other fixed expenses. So approximately 92% of the total budget increases is attributed to wage-related costs. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I am going to go around the room and offer trustees an opportunity to comment, and then we'll go ahead and vote on the budget. I'm going to start with you, Alicia.
We took a lot of time going through all of the numbers back and forth. We've been meeting since January on this. We've been here almost twice a week at lots of hours. Most of our budget is basically employee costs and things that we can't help. It's insurance costs, wages, buildings up and running. We have very little money that we have wiggle room to play with, so we did the best that we could, and I feel very comfortable with the budget that we are passing.
Thanks, Trustee Smith. Trustee Rowland?
I guess I acknowledge it's a disappointment that the majority of the increase is due to salaries and things outside of our control in that regard, contractual obligations. So an increase is required. I'm not a fan of a status quo budget in the sense that we did have a very healthy budget last year, and the starting point was very robust. I don't feel like our citizens, taxpayers, and general public have had status quo life lately. Things are changing, and I wish we had been able to find a little bit sharper pencil.
Thanks, Trustee Rowland. Trustee Dent?
Yeah, sometimes it's you go through different emotions when you're dealing with the budget. There should be some excitement in that there is an increase. However, the disappointment is that we're reliant on taxation again, as we're just not getting kind of the allotment that we would hope for from the province. So that's always regrettable. Also too, I mean, we get approached by all of our schools, and so there are things that they're identifying as needs that aren't always encompassed in this budget. So though there is an increase, and we're able to support kind of, as Trustee Rowland said, our contractual obligations, and we're happy to pay our teachers fairly, and we're happy to have them on board. We are still saying no to some of the asks from some of the schools. So that's always hard to balance, but with that we need to balance taxation as well. So challenging, but certainly this budget would have my support.
Thanks, Trustee Dent. Trustee Wilson?
It was a very difficult process to go through, being newer person on the board. I guess I was very aware of the lack of funding from the province to adequately fund the increases in inflation and the contractual obligations that we were facing. And at the same time, making sure that we are supporting schools, education, literacy, the important things that we need to ensure are well funded through the budget process. I think always we look at ways we can reduce the budget, ways we can cut costs. But I personally was faced with the challenge of looking at 92% of staff costs, increase in insurance, lack of adequate funding from the government. And when push comes to shove, I think that we have done a very good job of making this a fair and equitable budget.
Thanks, Trustee Wilson. Trustee Rowan?
I think a lot of the comments have already been said, but I would like to express some frustration with how late our funding came out, and the impact that had on some of our decisions in setting this budget. In an ideal world, we would have that funding, the numbers available to us at the onset of our budget planning, so that we're better able to understand what we're working with, so that we can plan accordingly when we're looking at the entire budget process. And the other thing I'd just like to thank our senior admin and the trustees for their hard work through this process. And I'm thankful that we are able to get some of these one-time costs covered for some of the projects within our division.
Thanks, Trustee Rowan. Trustee Boyton?
I too believe everything's pretty well been said, but I too want to thank everybody for their input throughout the whole process. No request is ever unreasonable, but sometimes it's tough to make those decisions. We still have to be fiscally responsible. We don't like to say no, but sometimes that's where we're ending up. And I believe that the decisions that we made are, we focus on student learning, and this is where we ended up. And thanks to everybody too for all their input and helping us guide our decisions.
Thanks, Trustee Boyton. Trustee Harris?
Passing a budget is one of the important roles that a trustee must deal with, which we all take seriously. I'm thankful to our senior admin staff for the support they've provided to the Board of Trustees so that we can make informed decisions. It is unfortunate that we did not get the financial support from the province that we would have liked, so that we would not have needed to go to the public for some of our funding.
Robin, I think you said that very well, because I'm not very happy with people on Broadway. The people on Broadway about going ahead and basically they are causing school boards to go to the ratepayers, to the homeowners, to cover a bigger percentage of education costs. We've talked about, what's the funding formula like and how do we get the dollars and cents, and it seems like more and more there's less money that's coming from Broadway, from the province, and more money now coming from the local taxpayer. That's very unfortunate. I'm not sure that that's sustainable. and, something needs to go ahead and give. However, I do appreciate the work that everyone did. Again, I think everyone's reiterated the work that our senior admin team did, certainly as to where things are. And really, this budget is saying that our schools, because of inflation, they will have less money to spend in our schools. So, do you know what? Am I going to support the budget? Absolutely. But it is difficult. If I left anything out from anyone? Okay. So I'm going to, having no more questions, I'm going to call the questions. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Sorry, we'll vote electronically. So it passed 7-1. Thank you for going ahead and doing that. We have our monthly enrollment, and it's there for information, 8.2. Actually, before I move forward, that's a big deal for us to go ahead and pass a budget. So congratulations for everyone about going ahead and doing that. It is a real big deal for us to go ahead and do that. And I think a couple of you said it's the most important job for a trustee, for a school trustee. So well done, and thanks to our administration. 8.2 is our monthly enrollment, and you have it for that's attached. Any questions on our monthly enrollment? All right. We also have a trip from Lactabani Senior. So be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Lactabani Senior School Holiday Mountain Ski Trip, March 19th and 20th, 2026, subject to superintendent's final approval. Moved by Trustee Wilson, seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions on it? Hearing none, we'll vote. Thank you, and it passed 8-0. We have committee reports. So Trustee Rowan, is there anything from policy that you want to advise the group here?
Yeah, so our next policy meeting is this Thursday. Additionally, we have sent policies 16, 17, and 18 on finances, audits, and assets to the Finance Committee. We've asked them to review these policies and provide any feedback for possible changes.
Any questions for Trustee Rowan for the Policy Committee? Okay, thank you for that. I see that we have minutes from our finance meeting and we have a check register, but I'm going to turn it over to Trustee Boyton. Anything from Chair of the Finance that you want to add?
Just that our next meeting is on March 24th, a little bit out of sequence. We generally had it a week earlier, but because we'll all be at Manitoba School Boards Association, we bumped that meeting up. And thank you to the Policy Committee, because we will have those policies on our next agenda.
All right, so we have a check register. Be it resolved that the board receive the January 2026 check register. The total, that was just reminding me to make sure that I don't talk too long. Be it resolved that the board receive the January 2026 checks register with a total amounts of checks issued at $4,304,572.16, reviewed on February 19th by the Finance Committee for information as submitted. Moved by Trustee Boyton and seconded by Trustee Rowland. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 9-0. Thank you for that. 8-0. Thank you. Mathematics taught it. Education Foundation Committee. I don't think, Jody, that we have anything moving forward from that. Correct? And you're at land planning ad hoc committee. Trustee Rowan. I don't think we have anything going from there. Okay. Professional development. So thanks for reminding it. Is that all the trustees are getting together in the province on March 19th and 20th at the Delta for our annual convention. You have all that information. Sarah, you're doing a great job about filling in, and giving us all that information. But there's a whole bunch of information that's there. And then you certainly see about CAPSUL and CSBA. Any questions on professional development? Okay, hearing none. We have a divisional finance summary report. It's there for information. Does anybody have any questions for Jody on the financial summary report? All right, Jody, you got off hook. There you go. Sarah, thanks for putting together in 12 nice to know informations with regard to all the things that are going on with our schools. And again, I think that what we heard from Kim, Lactabani Senior has a proud history of athletics and having staff do some things. She did mention one person's name that I really want to give a shout out to. His name is Lee Valentonis. Lee is an educational assistant at the school, and he's been coaching and running of the athletic programs at Lactabani Senior, I'd say, for 25, 30 years. And he's been a real trooper about going ahead and doing it. So a big shout out to Lee Valentonis for the work that he continues to go ahead and do. And Robin, you said is that he got money from a vending machine. Well, you know what? He's the guy that hustles for it, and kudos for them, certainly for the outdoor sign, for him to do that. We have upcoming meetings on the 17th and April the 7th. Thanks for the press release. A reminder again that Andrea Maxwell was the principal at Centennial School. We have correspondence there that Sarah has put together for us. Thank you. Jody, questions from the public. Are there any questions that have come your way?
Just refreshing my computer tonight. It seems to be really slow, but no, I expected there'll be some because we're passing the budget, but all quiet out there in the internet world.
Thanks, Jody. We passed the budget, so it's done. That's great feeling. So we have one item from in camera, and it's a motion, be it resolved that the board offer the position of Director of Human Resources effective as soon as can be arranged as recommended by the superintendent. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Rowland, seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you for that. 8-0. Oh yeah, sorry. I can't count tonight. Pardon me? Oh yeah, okay. I think we're adjourned because we have nothing left, right? All right, so we're adjourned. We do need to stay to do a couple things from in camera, but I think that we're adjourned. Thank you.